Hello everybody, welcome to Moe'S CD Culture Show and Tell, and I am here today to review again some Sparks, to revisit this band because it is a fantastic band and I can't get enough of them right now. Now mind you, I only have 7 albums so far. I still need more. The last time I did where I did a video for them, I only had 5 CDs. I've gotten 2 more since then. And this time I'm actually going to rank them from least best to best. Because, let's face it, there's no worse. They're all really good in their own way. And when I say least best, and I talk about by small margins. And I'll try to give you my reasoning why these are ranked in this order. I hope you understand. So I'm just going to kind of get into it. And just also before I continue, I just want to let you know that I still want to do episodes of Moe'S CD Culture Show and Tell. There are other bands I do want to present eventually. It's just that I won't be doing as many of these as I've done before in the past. I have been doing a little bit more in the last couple of days because I just had things I wanted to talk about. But let's get into the least best one that I've had so far. Now, the reason why I consider this the least best, and this is the Sparks debut album, and when they first made this, of course, it was called Half Nelson. Now, I find most of this sounds a little, I don't know why, but it sounds a little bit more generic compared to all the rest of the albums that came out after this, being their first album. Yeah, the only real note to this is that really hints at their wackiness and where they're going to go with their career is Biology 2, which weirdly enough is probably my favorite song on the album, just because it is so different than all the rest of the album. I mean, like I say, the other parts of the album are pretty standard for that time period. I think it was 92 or something. But Wonder Girl is also another song that stands out. I really like Wonder Girl. I know there's a couple of other songs on here I do like, but for some reason Biology 2, it's a strange song, and it does kind of forecast where they're going to go with their career. But yeah, this is the least best, because the other ones have just more of a special, has more of that spark, if you know what I mean. So we'll get to the second least best that I have. And mind you, it's, when I consider this my second least best, and we're talking about a steady drip, 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 which I still really love this album. I think what makes it my second least best is Stravinsky's Only Hit. Mostly for that one. And I find this album doesn't have as good of a flow as the rest of them that I have. But there are some awesome songs. I love All That. I love I'm Toast. I love Lawnmower. Probably one of my 2 favorite songs on this album is Sainthood Is Not in Your Future and Nothing Travels Faster Than the Speed of Light. I really do love those. Of course, I love the beat of Left Out in the Cold. I mean, Specific Standard Time is so-so for me. Selfie Facing is pretty good. One for the Ages is pretty standard. iPhone's awesome. I still love iPhone. But yeah, it doesn't have as well of a flow as the other ones sort of have. So that's kind of why it's in second last. Now for my next one, it all depends, okay? Now this one and the next one are kind of interchangeable depending on how you view it. This one here, the gratuitous acts and senseless violence, I like this album, I do. And if you're only listening to it for the album itself, which is only on the first CD, it would probably be the 4th least favorite. It would probably interchange with the next one I'm going to show. But if you count all the rest of the of the bonus stuff, like with the remixes, B-sides, official releases on disc 2, and then there's the demos and unreleased tracks on CD3. What would rank it higher is definitely be the Christy Hayden stuff, because I really love that. For me, this really fills out the CD of this special edition, of course, of it. But I would say if you're just going with the album itself, it would pretty much be equal with the next one on my list, which is Hippopotamus. Like, I like this a whole lot more than I was expecting. Now, to get with Hippopotamus, and I'll go through the track list now, because I didn't do it when I first opened it up for you in the in my last episode. But Probably Nothing is a pretty cool little short introduction. Then once Missionary Position, the next track hit, I'm like, okay, that's really catchy. I'm getting more into it. Edith Piaf said it better than me. I've seen the video for that, and I really do like that song. It's great. Then you get into Scandinavian Design, a little bit more standard affair, but I really loved it. And it's like, okay, so far the album is having a great flow. I really love Giddy Giddy. Giddy Giddy just made me giggle. It's a great song, and I do love it. I love What the Hell Is It This Time? That's an awesome song. Unaware, again, the flow of it is just so. It is better. I do like this better than A Steady Drip 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 and Gratuitous Sex and Senseless Violence. I do, yeah. This was actually a bit more standoutish to me than the rest of them so far. Then you get to Hippopotamus, this title track. Now I have to admit, when I first seen the video for that and heard that track, I thought it was a little bit not immature, but just a tiny bit childish, almost like it was made for kids. You know, with the repetition in it and everything, it didn't really affect me as much as I thought it would. And I was comparing. When I went into listening to this album, I was keeping in mind that song and thinking, I hope the rest of the album is not of that style, because it kind of would turn me off a little bit. But it wasn't. In a weird way, it's kind of one of my least favorite songs on the album, just because of that childishness that it has to it and the repetition of it. And it is a weird song, you know, talking about a hippopotamus in your pool. But it didn't deter from the rest of the album, because then Bummer, then song number 9, Bummer, is again super catchy. I really love it. I Wish You Were Fun. Yeah, I like that song too, because I love the message in that. And there's a lot of people that it really applies to in my life. And then there's So Tell Me, Mrs. Lincoln. Aside from that, how was the play? Probably one of the longest titles that I have of any song that in any of my collection. There might be and I really love songs that have super long titles like that, as I mentioned way back in some of my previous episodes. Then there's When You're a French Director, featuring Leos Caris. I kind of like that too. I love the whole Paris, you know, of Paris. It's such a French Paris song, you know, as if it was written by French people from Paris, you know. It really kind of impressed me a little bit. I was like, yeah, it just shows that their whimsical styles can kind of, you know, broaden a little bit, and this album made me smile and made me kind of laugh throughout it. Because last night I played it in the headphones, and I played it actually twice, because I really enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. again, I was looking at Hippopotamus, the title track, and I don't know. I just kind of had some expectations going in that was my expectations were a little bit shattered, and I love that. But another one of my favorite songs, and Larry Gray's favorite song on this album recently, that he was saying to me, is the amazing Mr. Repeat. I love the sound, the sound quality of that. I like the way they put that song together, and the message behind it is actually awesome, awesome. Then there's a little bit like Fun, which is not too bad. It's probably in my third or fourth least favorite track on the album in some ways, but I still really loved it. And then the last song, Life with the Macbeth. Now, I appreciate it, and I do like it. I still really, really, really like it, but it is probably my second least favorite song on the album, just because it has such a different style. But as a closer, as a last song on the album, it is fitting, and I probably will like it more the more I listen to the album, because I do really appreciate the flow of this album. It's really, really, really not bad at all. Like I said, way better than I was expecting it to be. Now, my third least favorite album, and but I still have to admit that I played it a lot, like almost for like a good 3 weeks. I was playing it every day, and when I say least favorite, I'm talking by such a fraction. Just say that the best one on my list is like 9.99 out of 10, right? This would be like 9.97 out of 10. It's that close to being perfect, because it is perfect. It's a masterpiece, and these three albums are masterpiece, and probably could be, probably later on, the more I listen to them, exchangeable. But yeah, we're going to go with number three. It would be The Girl Is Crying in Her Latte, which is, I love it. Everything about it is every song is great. It has a super awesome flow. I mean, with Veronica Lake, Nothing Is As Good As They Say It Is, which is my favorite song on the album, absolutely. Escalator is great. I really did like it from the beginning, first time I saw it, and when I saw the video, it's perfect, it's fitting. Then there's the Mona Lisa's Packing, Leaving Late Tonight. I love the flow of that too. You Were Meant to Me, You Were Meant for Me is probably my second favorite song on the album. Not That Well Defined is another great one. My least favorite song on the album is We Go Dancing. I still really like it, and where it's placed in the flow of the album is perfect. I will still let it play. I will never skip that song. I'll still let it play, but it is my least favorite song on the album. Then When You Leave is awesome. Take Me for a Ride is great. It's Sunny Today is awesome. A Love Story is great. It doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, it's up there. It's one of the better ones for sure. And Gee, that was fun. Awesome. It's perfect for a closer for this album. This album, all the songs and the listing of the tracks, it's a masterpiece. When they call it a masterpiece, I am not kidding. I really do love this album. Now, some people may argue with me on this one. My second, in number two position, the second least favorite, of course, is Kimono My House. And I called it Kimono My Drag in previous episodes, and I think that's kind of funny, because it's Kimono My House. And of course, it all starts with that, like the very first song I've ever heard of Sparks is This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us. Because when you listen, like, it's What I like about this one and the next one, number one there, is that they're at their most rockin' and their most whimsical. And I don't think they've ever really captured that again in anything that they've ever done. But these two, and I say they're very close to being interchangeable. But it's the next album that I love more because of certain songs on it that just kind of blew me away. But yeah. This town ain't big enough for the both of us is awesome. Amateur Hour is perfect. Falling in Love with Myself. I didn't like that song the first time I heard it, but it took maybe like the second or third try on that song that really like I do actually love it because of the lyrics. Something kind of threw me off with the way it started with the dun 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 dun. Yeah, I didn't like it at first, but now I love it. And there's Here in Heaven, which is awesome. Thank God it's not Christmas. I do love that too. And a couple of videos back when when Larry Graves was talking, I think on his Canadian Stud Muffin channel, when he was talking, like he sang a part of that song, and I recognized it right away, and it made me happy that I was able to recognize it. It's like I know what song you're singing, and that made me happy. And then there's Hasta Mañana, Monsieur, which is again awesome. Talent is an asset, which is talking about Albert Einstein, superb. Then there's Complaints, which I really love those lyrics again. In My Family, and the last song, Equator, probably my least favorite songs on the album for sure. I mean, they're so awesome, but yeah, they're my least favorite songs on the album for sure. But I do actually love the bonus tracks. I love Barbecuity and Lost and Found. And then there's a live performance of Amateur Hour, and I don't know what it is about the way, because it's live. And right at the beginning, he's like Russell is telling the crowd to calm down, to try to be safer. That you should I think they were probably getting rowdy or something, because he gives them a little bit of warning. We should calm down a little bit. But the way he sings it, like when he first starts the verses out, he actually doesn't even sing the first verse. He just skips it completely and then goes and it sounds like he's singing it so fast that he's kind of mumbling through it a bit, like because he's trying to sing it really fast and he's not pronouncing every word properly, not the way he does it in the studio version of it. But I don't know, there's something fun about that live performance. Amateur Hour at the Fairfield Halls in 1975. Yeah, this is such a great album, and because this is the first album of Sparks that I first bought. I loved it. I played it. I must have played it again almost every day for like 2-3 weeks, because it was just like, yeah. And that's until I bought the next album, which I think was the second album I bought of Spark. Oops, sorry, I keep hitting that mic every now and then. Propaganda is number one for sure, because it's just so. I mean, you have that cool little intro of the title track Propaganda, which is just them kind of singing a cappella and going whoop, whoop, whoop in the background. I really, really love it. Now, I find that so hard to see with the red on the dark print thing there. But then At Home, At Work, At Play, that is such a kickoff. And the next three songs, those three songs are At Home, At Work, At Play, Reinforcements, and BC are my favorite songs on the album, kind of equally. I love the lyrics. I love how whimsical they are, and especially Reinforcements, because I love the perspective that he's singing on, and BC, because it's just because of the way Russell is singing it. It's just so catchy and so rocking. And at the end, and like at reinforcements, when it gets to that part where after he counts to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go, and then when the guitar goes and slowly starts ramping up, it's just like I love it. I just love it. I can't get enough of it. I play that so often. I still play this a lot. Every third or fourth day, I have that in there and I'm playing this because it's just so captivating to me. And yeah, BC just yeah. Then there's Thanks But No Thanks, which is another one that's really close to being up there. I mean, I would almost put everything on this, because Thanks But No Thanks is written from a child's perspective, but it sounds like it's an adult song until you understand what he's talking about. My orders come from high above me, about a foot or two above me. When you get that in your head and you realize exactly what he's talking about, it's just it makes me laugh. It makes me smile, and it's just because of those lyrics. I tell you, Ron has his lyrics on this album is my favorite stuff. It's top notch because of the cool juxtapositions between what he's saying and what you think he's saying. It's a masterpiece too. I would consider this a masterpiece, and especially even the next ones. Don't leave me alone with her. It's fantastic. Then there's Something for the Girl with Everything. Just genius, genius. And then Achoo, talking about sneezing, and again, it's the way those lyrics flow with that. Then probably my least favorite song on the album is Who Don't Like Kids. It's something about the way Russell is singing it that's kind of weird to me, but it's still a really strong song and I will never skip it. I still do like it a lot and will never skip that song. And when I say it's my least favorite, it's still an amazing and fantastic song that I still really, really love. And then there's Bon Voyage, which I didn't really care for as much when I first heard it. I mean, I may still consider that my second least favorite song, but I still really love it. It grew on me more and more and more. So it's still awesome. And even those bonus tracks of Albany, Wright, and Marry Me, those two are still fantastic, and I still love those equally. And then there's a cool little interview from 8/11/1974. Yeah, so it's called Saturday Scene Interview, and yeah, they're talking about making creme brulee or not creme brulee, but a caramel type of dessert, and they're talking about how at first they start off by saying how they first started out and their first album, which was called Half Nelson, didn't sell very well, and then they decided to change the name, and it still didn't sell very well. Not until the next album, which of course was there's Wolf and Tweeter's Closing. A Wolfer Tweeter's Closing, which I need to get. That came out just before that. It's in between Sparks and this, but it's when this came out, and apparently when they did that midnight special appearance, that really captivated people and got Sparks on the map. But yeah, Propaganda, which is the next song after Kimono, my house. This is my favorite, hands down, my favorite. So that is my ranking of the Sparks albums, of which ones I liked from the least best to the best. Because face it, there are no worse. They're all special and awesome in their own way. So I'm going to leave it at that. And So yeah. So everybody, again, it's a little bit longer than I was expecting, but of course I had to go really through through everything as much as I could. So everybody, again, as always, please be safe. Take care. I will see you on the flip side, and have a great day, evening, night, or morning, wherever you may be. Peace, everyone.